touch of shadows far from the city, on the edge of an old mountain village, there is a 100-year-old house, Rosewood Manor. On a cloudy day, the house seemed like it was part of a supernatural story trapped in the abyss of time. Julia, a young writer, recently rented this house. She hoped that her loneliness would be relieved by coming to a new environment and that she would find inspiration for her next novel. But the reality was different. Julia felt something strange on the first night. It seemed that something like a shadow was moving in the darkness of the night outside the window. An unfamiliar whisper was floating in the air, which made her subconsciously uneasy. She shuddered when she saw her reflection in an old mirror hanging on the wall of the house. What was the dim black figure standing next to her? The next morning, Julia went to the local library to learn about the old history of the house. Looking through the books, she learned that many years ago, the only daughter of a wealthy family in this house, Elizabeth, had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. No one knew where she had gone. A few days later, the servants of the house claimed that they could hear Elizabeth crying at night. Despite all this, Julia was unwilling to leave the house. On the contrary, her curiosity grew. She decided that no matter what, she would uncover the secrets of this house. But she did not understand that it was not to learn some secrets, but that if she accidentally revealed them, it could bring unknown dangers. As the night wore on, the air in the house became heavier. Julia was trying to write, but her attention was repeatedly interrupted. It seemed that someone was watching her. She felt a touch of cold air next to the bookshelf behind her. She quickly looked back, but could see nothing. An unusual sound came to her ears like a soft laugh, as if someone was standing very close and whispering. Julia turned on the lamp in panic. The shadows on the wall seemed to grow longer and more terrifying under the light. Suddenly the window curtains moved without air. Looking in the mirror, what she saw took her breath away. The shadow of a hand could be seen vaguely next to her reflection, but in reality there was no one there. Julia stepped back in fear, and then a soft voice was heard from the door. "Why are you here?" The blood in her body froze. She clearly understood that she was not alone in this house. After spending the whole night in nightmares, the morning was unusually calm, but that peace was illusory, like the silence before a storm. Julia thought that everything that night might have been her imagination. She consoled herself, but the discomfort inside did not go away. As she walked along the corridor of the house, she felt someone walking behind her. The feeling of invisible ice on her neck terrified her. Once, on her way to the kitchen, her eyes fell on an old family photo hanging on the wall. A young woman's figure caught his eye in the picture. Elizabeth. The young woman in the picture was exactly like the one he had seen in the mirror the night before. His heart beat faster. As he stared at the picture, it seemed that the young woman's lips moved slightly, as if she wanted to say something. Suddenly, a cold wind blew and all the doors and windows in the room shook together. Several books fell from the bookshelves to the floor, and from afar, that voice again, "You go away, or bring me back." Julia's body went cold. Bring me back? What does that mean? Is Elizabeth really in this house? Or is her unsatisfied soul seeking release? Julia stood there stunned. Elizabeth's form was gradually becoming clear. The surroundings were also changing, as if she were entering a different time. The paintings on the walls were now sparkling like new. The room was glowing with candlelight. "Are you really Elizabeth?" Julia asked in a trembling voice. Elizabeth lowered her head, as if it was difficult to answer his question. "You can bring me back, but for that you will have to break the bonds of time," she said. Julia felt as if she were standing on the other side of the clouds. Two paths ahead, one would take her back to the present, and the other would take her to an uncertain past. Will Julia be brave enough to uncover the truth from this time trap? Or will she herself be lost in the past? To be continued. Writing Story. Es ist spät in der Nacht. Der Wind ist stark, die Stille noch erschreckender. Julia steht vor dem Spiegel, ein seltsames Gefühl von Zögern und Angst in ihren Augen. Steckt Elizabeth wirklich in einer Zeitfalle fest? Was soll ich tun, um ihn zurückzuholen? Plötzlich schwebten ein paar undeutliche Worte durch das beschlagene Glas des Spiegels. 3 Uhr morgens, der Schlüssel im Keller, Julias Atem wurde schwer. Keller? Er ging nie in den unterirdischen Raum unter dem Haus. Voller Neugier und Angst begann er langsam abzusteigen. Die Holztreppe zitterte bei jedem Schritt leicht, als ob sie ihn warnen wollte. Der dunkle Raum war feucht, kalt und erfüllt vom Geruch verrottenden Holzes. In einer Ecke stand eine Eisenkiste auf einem alten Holzschrank. Julia streckte die Hand aus und wischte den Staub ab. Die Worte I. Rosewood, 1893 waren eingraviert. Elisabeth Rosenholz. Mit zitternden Händen hob er den Deckel der Schachtel. Darin befanden sich ein alter, rostiger Schlüssel und ein vergilbter Brief. Als ich den Brief öffnete, schockierten mich die darin geschriebenen Worte: Wenn jemand diesen Brief findet, soll er wissen, dass ich hier festsitze. Meine Seele ist auf der anderen Seite der Zeit gefangen. Um mich zurückzuholen, müssen Sie die Zeittür öffnen. Aber Vorsicht, sobald die Tür geöffnet ist, kann eine Person zurückkehren, aber die andere wird verloren sein, für immer. Julias Brust pochte. Was wird er tun? Plötzlich nahm die Windstärke um ihn herum zu. Die Schatten an den Wänden schienen sich zu bewegen, und ein vages Flüstern drang an mein Ohr. Benutzen Sie den Schlüssel, aber die Entscheidung liegt bei Ihnen. Wird Julia den Schlüssel benutzen? Wenn er einen Fehler macht, wird er dann selbst im Abgrund der Zeit verloren gehen? Oder wird es ihm gelingen, Elizabeth zu befreien? Fortgesetzt werden.